Hello and welcome back to You Want to Do What with Dan and Julie. Today we have Steve on, who works in the construction industry and actually set up his own mental health charity a few years ago. Hi Steve, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
So do you want to tell us a bit about what you do and, why you set up the charity and what kind of thing you do in the construction industry?
Yeah, no problem. I'm technically, I suppose, not very much a trade, but I'm a ground worker. Kind of my roots go back to working on the tools. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, straight out of school. What can I do? Use a shovel, kind of thing. And went from there really. Started off kind of working local stuff, building landscaping in just a local town where obviously we all live. And went from there. Really got into it. Loved the industry, what I was doing really, and then the construction side of it. But always wanted to get bigger machines and stuff. And I realised that if the bigger the machine you use, the less effort it is on your back. So I targeted a few areas in the industry I wanted to get to and stuff. A few friends of mine had companies with machines and stuff, so I got involved with them. And then for kind of every job I went through, probably the first 5 years of working in construction, I always try to target bigger machines and try and do as bigger stuff I could. And that led me down to exactly that. Yeah, so that led me down into a world where I was actually kind of I was working on Crossrail for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
A few years back, 3 years in there, and that's kind of stemmed on from bigger job to bigger job really. But going back, it's kind of the construction side of it was kind of something I fell into, I suppose. Come out of school, didn't really have any aims or targets or any kind of ambition of what I really want to do, really. Just kind of, what can I do to earn some money? One of the dads at my football team I was playing for at the time said, do you want to come work for us? So I took that note, and that meant cash at the end of the week. So I thought, happy days. And it kind of that story actually relates to a lot of people I work with. Everyone just you kind of fall into that industry. You don't have ambitions to become a ground worker or really a construction worker.
What was school like for you then? Did you, were you good at school? Did you go for qualifications? Did you have to go to college, or you literally just left school and went straight into it?
Yeah, left school. To be honest, I wasn't academics, probably the word. Yeah, shows my education. I don't think is that the word or not. But yeah, school. I love school, but I think my brother had got the same reports as me. It was very much treated as a social club rather than actually something to do for educational purposes. I always struggled with kind of focusing in classrooms and stuff. Classrooms didn't really appeal to me at all, and I struggled literally. Not struggle. My attention span in classrooms was I need to be hands-on, and that kind of made sense in the end. But so come out of school with kind of pretty much nothing really apart from I pretty much with nothing. I thought, what can I do? Fell onto a construction site, and then realised education learning on site was a hell of a lot different to school, and I kind of loved it. Then I picked up a load of different stuff, and every job I'd done, I kind of always tried to do my own stuff on the weekends and things like that, as like little private jobs and work and any kind of experience I had. I started off doing window fixing and really like double glazing and stuff, but commercial stuff, so the kind of stuff you'd see on Canary Wharf and that. And then, but then I'd go home and try and fix a few glass panels for a few mates and things like that, and probably mess it up. But there's always keen to try. So it stemmed on from there. Got into the groundwork side of it, and then. From school, I say anyone can become a ground worker. All you need to do is pretty much be able to pick up a shovel, and then you go from there. So it's not the most ambitious job in the world, but once you get into it and kind of see if you enjoy it, there is a lot of money there to be made, and there's a lot of time and effort. If you're willing to put the time and effort in, you will be rewarded. It's kind of just a way of finding the right route to go around it. That kind of went on from there. But then probably 10, 11 years ago, I was involved in an incident in where I was involved in an acid thrown on me. What then led in an attack on a Friday night in town. That came out of the blue and nowhere, and that incident kind of led on to what was then kind of known as pretty much what is now known as post-traumatic stress. That wasn't really identified at the time in myself, but I healed up very quickly from the injury that I had. So it's nothing to do with work at all. It's completely outside of work. It's after a rugby tournament, funny enough. I got back to town and then it happened. But being in construction, it was brilliant for kind of just getting your head stuck in and kind of getting on with life, really. So a few months after everything had happened, and I had a few wounds on the face that healed and stuff quite well, and I was quite fortunate. everybody kind of said, "Oh, you've done so well, Steve. You've done so well." And then probably 6 months later, when it really had all kind of faded away, no one was talking about it anymore. Then that's when I started to realise I couldn't sleep properly at night. So that led on to a number of things over the next few years of kind of just sleep deprivation pretty much as well. I struggled to sleep a lot, and then I suffered heavily with my stomach, and my stomach kind of, it's not 100% guaranteed, but there's huge links between your stomach and ulcers of your stomach. And that is, I think, a huge contribution to what I had then ulcerative colitis, and spent a good few years of operations and stuff in my stomach.
Oh, really? And that comes from the stress of the incident? And
yeah,
wow.
It's not, I never realised at the time, but they never had any kind of way of pinpointing what it was. But then there was, through my own research, really, you look into it, and there's a huge link between stress and the bacteria in your gut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a lot your stomach kind of acts as the hard drive for your for stress, basically. That's like when you get butterflies and things like that.
Yeah.
Butterflies in your stomach, it's all linked to that. And I never knew that. And like I say, I wasn't very switched on at school, academic enough at school to kind of be switched on. But then, yeah, suddenly when something's happening to yourself, you suddenly realise you can learn a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it got from that.
And sort of back to, you were talking about, obviously in the construction industry, it's known as being quite a, for a better word, sort of a blokey environment. You just get your head down. Like you say, your physical injuries had healed. Was it kind of a case of, people didn't really talk about it? You were struggling with your health, and you thought, oh, hang on a minute, this isn't right. We should sort of be helping each other out. Yeah,
it's more a case of, I could see it. I then went, what happened to myself, and it is very much this. Everyone says it's this big macho industry and stuff, and on the outside it probably looks like that. But to be honest, I think being part of a rugby club massively helped with things like that, because, like you say, there's not many stigmas within a rugby club. I don't think it's kind of anything goes and anything's accepted, really. As you probably know.
Yeah, sometimes a bit too much, maybe.
Yeah, exactly that. So there was like, nobody could have actually kind of, no one could have given me more stick than I could give myself. So
yeah.
And you've known me as well. So I can't really be insulted to a certain degree. I won't take offence from pretty much anything. So, if I know on site when I go to work, if someone gives me a stick and a bit of banter back to me, I know straight away that we're going to get along. So that's like kind of my way. Yeah, if someone gives me some abuse, I'm like, yeah, we're going to get along fine. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
To be honest, when people don't, and when people are a bit worried about giving me some stick, then I've kind of realised what's up with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that in the industry itself, it's kind of, I got to a point where it's just like, it's not as tough as it looks. But what I was finding as well, from going from project to project, I now look after kind of gangs of guys. I'm kind of like a general foreman, kind of the main role I kind of work as, I suppose. And
yeah,
I look after many gangs of guys. I worked on a few projects where there's been 300-400 people on site and stuff, and I've been responsible for, say, 100-150 of them.
Jesus.
And yeah, it can be. There's a lot on, and you're briefing all these lads at the start of the day, and I'm very, very much approachable in the way I work, and I will always lead. I will never ask anyone to do anything that I can't do myself. And as a leader in work, I would always kind of lead from the front as such. I will never go and tell someone they can't to go and do something. I'll kind of just say, look, we're doing this, follow me, sort of thing. Yeah, so that's what's worked quite well. But there are a lot of guys have come in, like, that's not even opened up really, but just said to me, "Look, Steve, I've got this and this, and a few issues here and there." And I've spotted little things in people where I just thought, "God, mate, come on, you need to look after yourself." Or lads have come in to me and say, "Steve, do you mind if I leave like 45 minutes early?" But we're in an industry where you sign in and sign out, and sometimes you get paid for when you sign out is when you get paid to. But then you get lads come up to you and say, "Steve, look, I need to get away an hour and a half early, but if I go an hour and a half early, I'm going to be docked an hour and a half's money." And I'll be like, "Well, what's up?" And then it'll turn out, I've had a few of them they've had young children or something, or they've got to get to hospital appointments and things like that. But they can't, we're kind of agency staff. So you tell the managers that, and they kind of, you'll be docked money for that. And I've always just thought, hang on a sec.
That's not right.
Yeah, I've always thought if that was me, I'm now fortunate enough a father, but I thought if that was me, how would I like to do it? So I looked after lads as much as I can. I'd say, look, I'll sign out for you, things like that. Just cover. But when push comes to shove and I need you, just make sure you can put the effort in.
That subcontractor role can be quite brutal in that way, where you can be off the books for almost 6 months, and then you come back in and you might have to deal with these issues where if you're in an office, you have leeway with your bosses. They allow little things to slide a bit easier.
We should probably say Julie's an engineer, so he's the one.
So I actually work in as a modular construction as an engineer.
Yeah.
So I'm in a factory dealing with similar problems and on sites actually putting them together. So I certainly see where you're coming from, and I certainly know what you mean. If a bit of banter, you certainly know you can get on with someone quite easily. It is good. So how did all this progress onto you really getting this charity started, and what happened there?
I was working, so we got into the Crossrail side of it. We was there and we got allocated. I was working for the main contractor there, and I was employed by them at that stage, actually. 2 or 3 years employment. And we had allocated, I think it was 2 days we could do to raise money for charity, like charity days, what most companies do, I think, don't they? So I said to a number of the guys, that we've got these charity days and we're not doing nothing. Do you want to do something quite random? And I was like, what's that? I said, well, I'm going to walk the whole Crossrail route. So it was pretty much Reading to Shenfield. 100 miles over 3 days.
Oh, my word.
Yes, I said, let's do that. So let's use our charity days up. We only had 2, and I said, don't worry about that. I said, I'll make sure I get the 3rd covered. I'll speak with management, and we'll just literally say, sorry, so it took 3 days and we forgot, sort of thing. That we only had 2. I said, don't worry about it. And then I managed a lot of the lads who worked with us as well were walked with us. We've done 7 of us. A few of them were self-employed lads as well, and I managed to speak to their companies and get them their timesheets signed up, so they were covered as well, so they'd be paid. Whereas if they would have done it willy-nilly, they wouldn't have been paid. So I managed to get that covered. And the only reason I'd done that was because I was working all weekends all the time. So I was missing a lot of rugby, and I had no kind of outlet in sport or anything. And I knew for my own sanity that I needed to do something.
Yeah, something physical and you can sort of completely switch off from. Help get some aggression out if you're playing rugby or.
That's it, for sure. And I very much need that as well. And I was like, what can I do to kind of. What can I do? So that's when this walk come about, and I thought, right, this would be quite cool actually, and they should do it. And in a space of 6 weeks, I think, from when we confirmed we're going to do it, we gave ourselves 6 weeks, pretty much zero training, and then literally, I went around to every company. I think the charity they were supporting Macmillan there as well. They were the number one. They were like the selected charity on the project, and so I went round to every subcontractor and just said to them, look, can you sponsor us? And I was fortunate enough to be sponsored by the first company I've gone well with. They give us 500 quid into the pot. And then from there, I went to the next subcontractor and said, look, they've sponsored this. Can you match it? And they went, yeah. And then I went from contract to contract, and they all just said yes, all of them, because the bandwagon kind of started then. And one company said, how much did they sponsor you? I said, 500. They said, okay, here's $1,000. Just to literally
one up in.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And we were on the receiving end, so that's brilliant. But and I think in a case of 5-6 weeks, we pulled in just short of, I think, 12 grand. I think it was.
Wow. Off your first one. Yeah, that's amazing.
And I just said to the lads, I said, don't you just concentrate on doing the walk. I'll sort out the sponsorship for everything. And what I did as well. With that, all the money we raised all went to Macmillan. So the event that we done, I literally had quotes sent to me. So I got in touch with all the Premier Inn hotels and stuff and said to them that how much it's going to cost for 7 of us to stay at this hotel on one night at Heathrow, and then the next night. So the first night at Reading, and then one at Heathrow, and then one in central London. Yeah, they sent over the quotes, and then I'd rung up one of the other main contractor companies who's working or subcontract companies. I said that. I've heard you've got an account with Premier Inn. Can you sort these out for us? They said, yeah, no worries. Send them over. So that was all covered. So all the money we raised could all go to Macmillan then.
Oh, brilliant. Do you reckon these contractors and subcontractors were doing it out of, a genuine, this guy's really trying to help out mental health? Or is it them maybe paying a bit of lip service or a mixture of the both? Are they doing it for genuine reasons?
Well, at that time, with that trek itself, that was just Macmillan, but there was nothing actually about mental health or anything then. That was 2016. You didn't hear anything about it whatsoever, really. The issues are obviously still there, but just not being addressed. And it got to a point there. They want, and I know this now from going on to other projects, that it gets to a point where it was being Crossrail. It was kind of it was right in mainstream media, so they knew it was kind of a big thing to sponsor that. I've gone into other projects with other main contractors now, and when it's not as big, they don't come forth as much with their money. So I found that one out. But we went on the walk, and literally 2 days into the walk, one of the lads was struggling. It turned out he'd had a few issues elsewhere, and no one knew anything about a few of the things he'd come out with and that. And we then I recognised that what we were doing was more than just a walk. I thought, hang on a sec, there's a few lads here who are having troubles, and outside it, or their home lives, or there'd been a few things with them in their personal lives. Nothing too major, more. Or one of it, his young lad had a few problems over the years, and he kind of, when we finished the walk on the third day, he broke down and was like, "Steve, you don't realise what you've done for me. You've helped me so much." And I was like, mate, so we've been working together 4 or 5 years at that stage over a few projects, and I didn't have a clue about what was going on for him.
Why do you think that happens? Do you think it's, you working on groundworks? Is it? I assume it's quite male dominated. Mm-hmm. Is it? Men just don't want to talk about these things because they think their mates will think they're, oh, what's wrong with him? He's a bit strange. Why do you think people just kind of bottle it up?
I don't know really. It's just kind of guys just. It's not, and I'm kind of even for it still. Really, we don't talk, and everyone goes, "Oh, talk." But to me, going just talking about it isn't the right thing. That doesn't help me massively. I need to go and do something. Yeah. Talking, it helps a lot of people, and in times where if you can be, I know this now, kind of a few years later, but if people are really, really at a real tough end, talking is the way forward. But
I think the other thing is, taking you guys out of that environment of being on the construction site and working and doing that walk probably brought it out of you guys. You became closer. You're able to talk. And the same with if you are on the rugby field. I mean, I've made some of my best mates on the rugby field.
That's really nice.
Talk to. So I think that's another side of it where you taking out your normal environment and being somewhere else can really help.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I think it was. We were all kind of, I knew each individual out of the 6 or 7 of us very well, but they kind of didn't know each other very well. We're from different parts of the project, but they all I managed to round them up together. And in that 3 days, even now to this day, everyone's probably got there's a bond to say you form over those 3 days, because we were shattered. We were doing 33. It was 33 miles a day for 3 days walking.
Jesus, you'd be knackered.
On tarmac, pretty much concrete, and we were all in bits. And there was you chat away, but you end up just talking a load of crap basically with each other, and you end up just having a proper laugh.
So how do you sort of fund it now? You don't do these expeditions, and you do a bit of rugby now, and sort of how have you progressed the charity from the early days?
Well, that was 2016, and then I went to another project then, and we've done something similar. Then we'd sort of, let's go down the charity route, and that took probably a good part of 3 years to actually get the registration come through, and that can only come through the middle of last year.
Right. How do you go about doing that? Is that all through the government, and how do you do that?
Admin, put it that way. My academic skills again, way out the line. And I fortunate enough, I've got 2 brilliant trustees on the charity as well. One was the best mate, Phil, who lives in Birmingham, and he's actually the head, the pro. What's his role? He runs the youth academy at the Belfry Golf Course.
Okay.
So he's in a golfing experience, and he had done some charity stuff. He went to university to study golf, what sounds like the absolute biggest cop out in the world. But whilst he was there, part of his degree was kind of to set up a charity and do stuff. So he picked up a bit of knowledge there.
Yeah.
And then it just so happened that his sister is pretty much a lawyer within Oxfam.
Right. Okay, that helps.
That definitely helped. It wouldn't have been possible without her. But she pretty much said, Steve, anything you get, just send it over to me. I'll sort it out. She said, write down everything you want to do. Answer all the boxes on this paperwork, like what you want, and what your kind of thoughts are, and how you want to do it. And I'll pretty much translate that to lawyer chat, basically.
Okay, so you need to go through basically to set up charity. he needs to go through a lawyer. So maybe if you're thinking of doing one,
it's not even that. Anyone can do it. It's just you've got to, just knowing what you're doing.
Okay.
So sorry, my phone just quickly got off and turned off. Yeah, I said, if you can. So anyone can do it. It's just knowing what to put and how to put things, basically the format and things. And she went through that and got that done. So that come through middle of last year. But then up until then, we just we do events, raise a little bit of money, and then what we've done with a lot of stuff is we'll raise money on an event, and then we'll actually pretty much hand over 100% of that money to someone in the industry who potentially fall on tough times.
And is that primarily what your charity does? Is events and raising money through that to support? Is it external charities? Is it your own charity that's actually helping people?
It's now become our own charity. Yeah, so we can do our own thing now. But it's all about promoting well-being, promoting sport, promoting the benefits of sport and exercise for the operatives' well-being. So the idea is to pretty much put together these events, these individuals to come out and literally get involved. It's what we called them the Construction Barbarians. So we played a few rugby matches over a few years, been in a few rugby tournaments.
Oh, brilliant!
I'd invite, it's like a Barbarians team. So I'd invite just players from the industry or even just friends and that to come along and just get involved and represent us. So that's worked well. We've done quite a few treks, been on the odd football tournaments, five-a-sides. I was working on another project last year where we took a number of spinning bikes onto the project, and we had a day where they were racing on the spinning bikes. Just anything sport and exercise. I got onto it last year and realised there's just not, like, if you look at the army, for instance, or the military service, sport massive, and they use it like massively as a recruitment tool as well. So obviously entice people in. They'll be like, obviously, if you're really good at rugby and you join the army, you're never going to pick up a rifle. You're just going to be going around the world playing rugby. Basically.
Have you ever seen the Army Navy games at Twickenham?
Yeah, only on TV. I've heard a lot about it, but they're quite savage, aren't
they? Brutal. It makes sort of our normal level of rugby just look like pedestrian.
Yeah, for sure. So they so it's like kind of that, and I thought that industry there's not as much money in the military service as what there kind of is in the front line in construction, and then I kind of thought, how have they got such a huge sporting background and we haven't? And I looked at the ambulance service, police service, fire brigade, and the prison service, and even like the insurance and banking worlds as well. They've all got like established organisations that look after sport, and the construction hasn't got any. So I was like, why can't we do something about it? So that's where it kind of comes. Construction sport was born last year through that. The charity's good steam, but we're kind of in the transition period now, changing it over to construction
changing
sport.
The name, yeah.
Yeah, purely for that, because of this organisational side of it, of making a kind of a federation kind of sort of thing of sport and construction. So the idea is to pretty much just promote sport as much as we can, because you don't need to promote the mental health and well-being benefits if you're just telling people to go and have a kick about. It does the talking itself, really.
So your premise of the charity is, you're not actually head-on addressing the issues. You're providing somewhere for them to let off steam and to relax with their mates and to enjoy themselves for a while, not think about their problems. Yeah,
that's exactly it. So that was it. Because I've been in classrooms classrooms are not my forte, but actually on projects, and we've been literally given like toolbox talks, as they call them, and we've had people come in and do chats with us, and I've just literally turned around to them and said, have you ever put wet, muddy boots on at 7:00 in the morning in mid-December? And they'd be like, no. I was like, yeah, exactly. You don't know how our heads work. So we're a different breed of people, really.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I really because people, like we said, people don't actually, or some guys just don't want to talk about it. And if they don't want to talk about it, then what's the next best thing you can do? Get out and have a kick about with your mates and let off some steam. Yeah,
that's it. That's the whole idea. So I said to them, you need to stop coming onto projects and just telling us how we should be going about it. I said, we know the opportunities are there to be done if we can if you give us the opportunity, we can address our mental health, but just stop telling us to talk to each other, and it's just not working. The statistics are showing that as well, but everyone keeps on just talking. It was kind of like I kind of went about it at the start with a bit of kind of, not so much anger, but more like, just kind of stick my middle finger up in a way, just be like, if And I had these ways of thinking. I could literally go whistleblowing. Basically, I've had people say stuff to me in the industry before, and I've worked with companies who have asked me to do things, and I've just thought it's wrong on so many levels. And I still get to this day on some projects. Fortunately enough, what I'm on at the moment is brilliant. But I just go, and I'm big enough and ugly enough to pretty much say now that I don't agree with what you say. I don't put it as PC as this, but I'll pretty much say I don't agree with what you're doing. You're saying I'm not doing it. And there's a hell of a lot of people in the industry still who just don't stand up for themselves, and they're just yes men. And it does my absolute rocket. But it's just literally like, stand up for yourself, lads. You don't have to do that if you don't need to. But then they're like, well, if I don't do it, they'll sack me tomorrow. And I'm like, well, they probably will actually. But it's kind of, you just got to be confident in what you're doing. But that's what it's like. If you stand up against something and don't agree with it, there's a high chance, I'd say more of a chance than not, that you'll be told you're surplus to requirements the week after. I've seen it firsthand.
That's pretty brutal.
Shocking. Yeah.
So what's the plans for the future of the charity? You know, what kind of events are you going to be doing? How big do you want to make it?
Yeah. It's one of those. It's kind of just take it step by step now. I've got all these ideas. It's going to be like the biggest organisation in construction in the whole UK, but then realise that don't happen overnight. No. It's just fine that we put a lot of time and effort into it last year just to try and identify how to go about it. Really, nobody's ever done anything that no one's done it the way I've done it before. Everything, any charity and organisation out there to look after the lads at the moment is all done kind of white collar and above. Yeah. From senior officials.
So you're on the ground getting it working.
Yeah, I'm just literally the coal face of it, and literally the truth about it. Because I do a lot of stuff online and stuff, and you just see these companies going, "Oh, look at what we're doing, not what we're doing," and I'm just thinking, brilliant. That is so ineffective, and it's just a load of rubbish. But to them, it ticks their boxes, and it's just, and that's
what it is, isn't it? A lot of this, even from in the city, there's companies that will it's tick boxing. We've done it. There you go. We've shown you we've done it. But mate, I'm so impressed with what you're doing. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. So it's going well. Yeah, it is, and it's getting the right reactions now. And a lot of people buying it. I'm not sure if you've seen. I've done half a marathon this morning.
You must be shattered. I can't believe you're on it.
Yeah, I'm feeling all right. Actually, not too bad at the moment. I've had a lot of food and a lot of fluids, and I'm doing all right. But so I literally this year, for instance, I got in touch with a number of companies and that said that this is what we're doing. I had a series of events and that we were doing throughout this whole year, January to December. I said, can you sponsor us for like your company, like a rugby team? You sponsor a shirt, and the company name would be across the shirt.
Yeah.
I said to them, look, can you sponsor it, and we'll give you as much exposure in the industry as much as you can to show that you're supporting us and what we're doing.
Yeah.
So for the CSR purposes and things like that, a few companies were all over it. And actually, and a lot of just said, Steve, we just want to be part of something as well.
Yeah.
And it worked really well. So I had all these events lined up. A big kind of big dinner at the end of January that we had in London, and that kind of got things started. And then suddenly, like obviously, the current pandemic kicked in, and everything just got grinding halt. And I was like, crikey, what can we do? And obviously, I had a few ideas at the start of the pandemic, but I just thought it's not thought through, and it's kind of clutching at straws. Let me think.
If you want to do it, you want to do it properly.
Yeah, so literally just a few weeks ago, I thought when they said you can have 6 people do a bit of exercise, I was like, right, we can do something with that. And obviously at the start of it, you couldn't go out for an hour. Could you? Exercise had to be within an hour, wasn't it? So it was so little, it was like, you just can't do nothing. And now, literally, I messaged a few people and just said, look, guys, do you fancy coming out for half a marathon? I've done a lot of full marathon walks.
Just half a marathon.
Yeah, and just come out for a trek.
You do half a marathon. That'd be brilliant. We'll get next one you do. We'll get Julie out. Brilliant.
Spot on. Line up, and that's what I said to
context. He's a prop, so.
Spot on. I've actually got a couple of props out in a few weeks.
Brilliant. There you go, mate.
Yeah. So I literally said to 6 weeks ago, I messaged 4 guys. I just said to them, lads, are you available on this day? We'll meet you here. We'll do a trek. And they went, straight away. There was no even like twisting of arms, what I thought there might be.
Yeah.
And then I thought, and then I messaged a few other guys, said, can I do it with you? And I said, well, we're tight on numbers because we can only do 6 at a time. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, the week after we'll do it again. And then next thing I know, there was a number of people interested. So last week we've done one last Thursday, and then we've done one this morning. And then next week I've got a company coming out He's a good friend of mine's recruitment company, construction recruitment firm, and he's coming out and he's bringing 4 clients with him. So it's a way they can pretty much have an on-site meeting, basically.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do in terms of entertainment at the moment, so they're coming out and they're going to get involved with that. So that's awesome. Then the week after that, I've got 4 weekends filled up at the moment, and I've also got 2 just waiting on the dates to be confirmed. So there's pretty much 6 half marathons lined up over the next 6 weeks.
Oh my word! You're going to be fit, mate.
Yeah, it should be. In hindsight, sounds it, but when all the fast food in between and the binging.
All right, well, that was that's brilliant. Like I said, I'm incredibly impressed by what you're doing. I think it's amazing. Like I said, you're at the coalface. You're not paying lip service, and you're actually helping these guys out with letting off steam. So thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so much. It's really impressive what you're doing.
Speak about it. It's much appreciated.
All right, mate. We'll speak soon.
Lovely. All the best. I'll see you on the walk in a few weeks then.
Yes, see you there. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Cheers, boys.